We're not in the real estate business. We're in the leads business.
Hi, I'm Maud Léger, and this is the Realtors Conspiracy Podcast, where we crack the code to real estate success. Learn from top realtors, entrepreneurs, innovators about how to grow your business as we discuss real estate tips and tricks, success stories, mindset, processes, motivations, and the key to their success. Subscribe to our podcast, Realtors Conspiracy, today. This week, we're speaking with Dave Cole from Royal LePage Burloak. Dave is a people person, and he's been a realtor for 25 years. The key to his success is treating his clients the way he would want himself to be treated, but also realizing that leads are what gets the business going, and getting more leads must be a priority. So let's get to my chat with Dave. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Tell us, what is the key to your success?
Hi, Mo. Thanks for having me. I think the key to my success goes back to when I first got into real estate. My philosophy at that time was if I treat every client that I serve the way I want to be treated, then over time, they're going to come back to me. They're going to send me their friends and they're going to send me their family members. And, here I am 25 years later, and I'm still doing business with those clients that I first served, 25 years ago. So,
That's amazing.
that's probably the one thing more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a huge takeaway. I think you started by treating people the way you want to be treated, but did you have a bad experience with a realtor before, or how did that come along for you?
No, I didn't, but it's funny getting into real estate. I'd heard, different stories about people who felt that they'd been, maybe not treated uh, the way they should have been, or maybe they weren't given all the information that they needed in order to make the right decision. And, at the end of the day, they were left with a bad taste in their mouth, and they were looking for a new agent the next time they were in the market.
Yeah, very good key to take away.
Yeah.
Um, and then, as a realtor, what excites you in the industry right now?
um right now,
Oh,
it's a crazy market we're in right now. Our market has been going up and up and up over many years. Um, and I've been thinking for quite a while, how much higher can it go? And now the pandemic, we're a year into it. And initially when the pandemic hit, I thought, okay, we are going to see some dramatic negative changes in our market, but it's been the opposite effect.
yeah,
And, here we are in early 2021, and there's very little, historically low inventory available on the market, and there's this huge, pandemic demand that is still pushing the market, and we are seeing some sales that, quite frankly, seem unbelievable to me. So
yeah,
it's an exciting time for sellers. It's a very frustrating time for buyers. Um, and the changes that we've seen in how we're doing business over the last year, like us here today, so much more is done virtually, electronically, online, um, and the tools that we've needed in order to do that over the last year have changed dramatically as well.
what
Yeah.
would be new tools that you started using in the last year?
Oh, well, a year ago, I'd only heard of, say, Matterport, for example. And that is something that, I'm a little bit old school. I'm not super techno savvy. That's something that I probably would not have gravitated to very quickly. And yet, when things changed, the necessity for virtual showings and Matterport it's incredible. People can go in, they can see the entire inside of a home. They can take the measurements that they want to know if they can, fit a piece of furniture in a certain room. Um, it's really quite phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. like, so you've been a realtor for 25 years. What was a defining moment for you where you really felt successful?
Um, it's funny. My first year, I had a good first year, not great, but good, better than a lot of first year agents. And the second year was kind of the same, and the third year was a bit the same. And I was seeing people that I'd taken the real estate course with dropping out.
Mm,
And it's not an easy business to be in. It's an easy business to get into, but
yeah,
it's not an easy business to stay in. And it was somewhere around year 5, I guess. I started hitting the awards levels with our company, and that's when I kind of thought, okay, you know what? I can do this. I can be successful. And it was around that time as well, 5 years into it, that I started getting those repeat customers coming back to me, right?
yeah,
So my very first year, I was young, I was still in my 20s when I got into real estate. And so I was dealing with first time buyers. So for me, an end would be, and keep in mind at that time, prices, my average sale price, I think was $180,000. So you're selling somebody a townhouse or a condo, and it's one end of a deal.
yeah,
Well, at the 5 year point, these people I'd sold into a townhouse or into a condo were coming back to me, and they're saying, Dave, we've got a baby now. We want to buy a house. So all of a sudden now we're selling the townhouse, we're buying the house, and I'm seeing that, my people are staying with me. And now what was one deal 5 years ago is now two deals. And, and the values had risen as well. So, that I think around the 5 year point, I kind of knew that this is really what I wanted to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
what motivates you? What keeps you going?
You know what? It's the people for sure. I love. It's funny. There are certain agents I talk to, and they'll talk about the house, and they will remember everything inside the house. That bedroom was a certain color, and they had a certain carpet in that room. I don't remember the houses all that well, but I remember the families, and the people. And so I think it's dealing with the people, and what's going on with them.
Yeah,
Uh, I often say in real estate, we get to deal with people at the best of times and at the worst of times. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. The best of times, somebody gets a job promotion, they get relocated, or their family's expanding and they need a bigger home. These are happy things. Unfortunately, the flip side of that is sometimes marriages end, sometimes people lose their jobs, sometimes people pass away, and we need to deal with the real estate at those times as well. So it's I really enjoy it. It's more than anything else, it's working with the people and what's going on in their lives at the time.
yeah, very cool. What is the number one, the best advice you received as a realtor?
Oh, um the best advice I received was probably we're not in the real estate business, we're in the leads business.
Yes.
You need to be talking to people regularly uh, to sort of keep that sales funnel going, so that you've always got deals percolating through. So that was probably the best piece of advice, was you're in the leads business. Always be talking to people, and seeing where you're going to be able to help them.
True.
Yeah.
You have a big team with you right now working sales and buy side. How do you get your leads to them? How do you funnel, keep them?
Um, so again, a lot of it is repeats and referrals. We've moved more towards social media now as well. So much more is coming that way. And old school, we still do a lot of geographic farming as well. And I live in Aldershot. I do a lot of business in Aldershot. There are people who, I'll bump into them at Fortino's, and they know me because they've been getting my material in their mailbox, every month forever. And they feel like they know me, but I don't. maybe not, maybe I haven't met them yet, so, um, that's probably it more than anything else. Yeah.
When you talk about farming, like a lot of agents will try to send a postcard and then they give up because it didn't work
Yeah.
out. Like, what would you say
Yeah.
like works for you? You keep going. You
Yeah, yeah. So it is. It's definitely, you want to be systematic about it, and commit to it. Pick your farm and stick with it. It might take 12 or 18 months before you start to see significant results. I would say, try and don't just send out something that's generic or kind of self-serving. Look to give something of value. One of the things that I do is a community newsletter, and we profile local businesses, and people love to find out about the people behind the sign on the street. Who is the person that runs that butcher shop, and things like that. So that's what I would say. You got to be consistent, commit to it over the long haul, and make it unique, make it something of value, something that people will actually read rather than just throw in the blue bin.
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say? How do you leverage your listings once you have a listing? How do you make sure to leverage it?
For sure, for sure. So again, it's promoting that listing. When you've got a listing, you want to expose it, as much as you can, and then expose it to the neighborhood as well. There are people, on that street or within a 1 block radius who might be thinking about selling themselves as well. So you want to make sure that they know everything that you're doing on behalf of their neighbor to get the best sale possible for their neighbor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very cool. That
definitely.
tells a lot once they see the
Yeah.
sign go up and then for sale and then sold and
Yeah. 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 And oh yeah, a sold sign on a street is the best advertising, right?
yeah,
For sure.
very cool. What would be three actionable things that you do in your business or you coach your agents to do in your business to make sure the listings are coming in?
Oh. Um, hmm. One of the biggest things is suiting up and showing up every single day, right? No matter what you're doing in life, suit up and show up. Um, uh, be consistent, and don't get discouraged. You've got to hang in. Right now we're going through a bit of a dry spell. There's not a lot of inventory. The phones are pretty quiet. People aren't ringing. So you need to make sure you're doing something consistently to um, make sure people know you're still there.
Yeah, very cool. So 25 years in the business, they say what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. What challenge did you overcome during your 25 years so far?
Ah, it's probably dealing with technology,
Yeah,
and I really am not comfortable with it. It's not something that I like.
yeah,
So I've learned to do what I need to do, but then I hire out the stuff that needs to be done that I can't do or that I don't want to do.
yeah.
Um, so that's probably one of the biggest things. If you can't do it yourself, get somebody who can do it for you.
Mm,
Because it's got to be done.
yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And if you had a realtor coming to you saying they're frustrated in this market, they can't do it, they want to quit, what
Yeah.
advice do you give them?
You know what? It's a tough business, and I don't know what I would tell them, quite frankly. I often have people come to me, and sometimes it's clients, who I sold them a house, and they come to me and they say, I'm going to get into real estate. I want to get my real estate license. Um, and I usually have a pretty frank conversation with them. It seems like a great business to be in, and it is, but you need to realize that it's an expensive business to be in. You might not make a sale for a month or two or three, and yet your expenses are going to keep rolling in.
Yeah,
Um, it's the kind of business where you could get called away from dinner on a Sunday. You've got your in-laws coming over, and all of a sudden you're having to dash off, and it's not an easy business to be in. So that's the conversation that I have with people who are thinking about getting into the business. So if somebody came to me now, and I'd say, well, how long have you been in the business? If you're at that 2 or 3 year point and you haven't really gained traction yet, maybe it's time to, if you're working on your own, maybe you want to look to work with an established team where, you'll be able to do the job, but you'll be getting the leads. Because like earlier I said, it's a lead business. You need to be getting leads.
Yeah.
And that's usually where most people struggle, is they're not getting the leads. They're not getting the people to work with. So, if somebody came to me now and they were, at that point of what should I do? You've got some options. You can buckle down and try a couple of different methods of generating leads. You could think about joining a team, where a lot of the lead generation is going to be done for you.
Mhm.
Or you could start looking at those help wanted ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people leave the business, and it's not for everyone. So, ultimately, an agent's got to decide, are they in? If they're in, then commit to it. Yeah.
Commit to it. Yeah. And that's a good testament of your work. When a client comes in and says they want to join real estate after you sell their house, that's probably because you did a good job and made it look so simple.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you ever look for books or resources or training, anything to help you in your business?
Yeah, yeah. There are a number of real estate books that I still own, and it's written by some of the people who've been in the business, for a long time. And the business hasn't really, the way we do the business has changed pretty dramatically over the last number of years. But the business itself, of helping people buy and sell, is still the same.
Yeah.
So there's that. There are some great real estate books out there. I got involved with some real estate coaching, and that was great for me, because I was at a point as a single agent just working by myself where I was run ragged. I was working a lot, and didn't have a lot of time outside of work, and wanted to bring in some people to work with me, but wasn't really comfortable in that process. So for me, working with a coach was able to, help me make my first sort of hires. And it's, now I've got the team. They've been with me for quite a few years, and we work well together, and we find it's a good balance. So
Very cool.
those are two things, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of your team, how do you empower your team and keep them motivated?
Um, you know, everybody's given a lot of autonomy, right? So they know what needs to be done. I'm not one to look over people's shoulders, and it's regular communication too. We're back and forth regularly, and that has been a bit of a challenge in this past year in particular, because we used to always work from the office together. We were all in the same room together, so we were seeing each other pretty much every day. Um, and then the pandemic hit, and we're all working from home. And at first, things had gotten really quiet, and it was like there wasn't a lot going on. So we weren't really communicating either, because we're at home and there's not a lot to talk about. But as things were on, then we had to make a point of, okay, we've got regular, calls at certain times. We've got our regular meetings, and we've got our. For the week, so that's probably the biggest thing.
Very cool. What are you excited about coming up now that things are getting better, reopening, or the market?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our spring market coming in. There's just I'm looking forward to seeing some more inventory coming up. Being able to get back outside, and some semblance of normal. I know we're going to be dealing with this, one way or another for a while yet. Um, but just being able to see a little bit more inventory coming up and getting out and actually, again, with masks on and things like that, but seeing people, even if it's from a distance.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you. I could talk to you all day. Like we have so much to talk about. Thank you.
Yeah, for
Thanks for
sure.
sharing all of that.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, Maud. Absolutely.